I got scammed out of $15,000 when I was 17 years old, and it taught me the greatest lesson that I've ever learned in my life. So I started doing high ticket sales when I was 16 years old, and I was making about $10,000 a month up until the point where I was 17, and I had about a little over $70,000 in my bank account. And out of that $70,000, I wind up paying one of my mentors $15,000. He's completely off the internet. You will never be able to find this guy, and he's literally worth $200 million, but doing business that no one could ever comprehend. And it wasn't a sales mentorship, it was just learning about the world. And I wouldn't call it a mindset mentorship either, or I wouldn't even call it a mentorship to begin with. I just paid this guy and then we could hop on calls. I met up with him daily. And it was basically just to learn how the world works the way that it does and why the world works the way that it does. And I was so fascinated on this topic when I was like 17. I went down this rabbit hole and I wanted to know why certain people had power and why others didn't in life. And I remember our first ever time sitting down, the one thing that he taught me, he said, anytime a negative thought or a thought that you don't claim to be positive, say no to it. And at the time, I was a 17-year-old kid. I didn't know why the world works the way that it does. And I got really upset in my mind. I didn't lash out on him, but I was like, no way, I just paid this guy $15,000 and the first thing that it tells me is say no to my thoughts. Then I started using it. I started saying no every time I got a negative thought inside of my mind. And within 4 months of doing that, right when I turned 18, I had a $56,000 month. Still in sales, by the way, but he taught me a lot more than just to say no. But that one thing that I used for the first 4 months of doing it, every time I got a negative thought, I would say no, no, no. And even though in the moment, I didn't know why the world works the way that it does, like I said, I still just trusted him. I trusted him and I did it, and my life changed from saying no to negative thoughts. And he told me the reason behind it a couple months later when he saw it actually working for me. And he was the one that explained to me that your thoughts and emotions are the things that shape your reality, and every single thing that you say is a spell. That's why it's called spelling. He said you can control the world just by shutting down certain thoughts and giving power to certain thoughts. So no, I didn't actually get scammed. It was the most valuable piece of advice that seemed so stupid, but it is so real. Anytime you get a thought that you don't want to claim or that you don't want to give power to that's not positive, just say no out loud. No. And move on and think about something positive, and your life will change so fast.